Good morning. We are grateful to gather both online and in person as the Unitarian Universalist Society for inspiration, music, learning, and conversation. I'm Peggy Garrigus, Director of Congregational Life, and I'm also the Zoom host for this morning. If you are visiting our service today, welcome. We hope you find the service meaningful. If you are attending the service in person, it will help a lot with our AV needs if you turn off your cell phone or put it in airplane mode and on silent so that it will neither be joining our UUS Wi-Fi network or interrupting our service. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't all believe the same things, but we turn to 6 sources of our living tradition. One of those sources is spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Today, we especially reflect on that circle of life as we remember those who have died in this past year. This morning, Reverend Diana Smith, our minister, will share the message. Now over to Reverend Diana for our call to gather.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society, and it is wonderful to be with you all this morning. In these times of change, it is so important to be together, to come together as a spiritual community, to gain the sustenance that we each and all need, and to help nourish each other. As members of a covenantal faith that expresses our core value of love, through how we agree to be together and to support each other, it is good to come together and to affirm that even when we cannot yet all be together in body, this congregation remains strong and connected. And to affirm that we have faith and hope in this congregation, in each other, and in the ways that we continue to grow together during the challenges of life. And to affirm that wherever any of us is on our life's journey, whether we come to worship with joy in our hearts, weighted with burdens, in need of rest, or searching for others to engage in the struggle with us, we are glad. And this congregation is glad that we are here. Today we're celebrating a day of remembrance, All Souls Day, for all those we love and care about who have died, human and non-human, reflecting on the ways that we carry our ancestors and our other beloveds with us. And so, we begin our worship service with these words from Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place that we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, someplace we can be free. And so, Virginia Melroy will lead us in singing hymn number 1046, Shall We Gather at the River. If you're at UUS, please sing softly into your mask, hum or move your hands or your body with the music as is comfortable for you. If you're at home, please feel free to sing as loudly as you would like.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of our sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please respond with the sayings on the screen. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. Each week, when we light a candle for justice and healing, we hold space for our understanding of interdependence, that our liberation is bound up by every other person's liberation. Our feelings of rage and heartbreak over the ongoing pandemics of illness and racism, the devastation of climate chaos, and the waves of trauma washing over our world. We light this candle to help us hold space together for processing what is happening in our lives and in our world, and to remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. We light this candle that we may not be numbed or lost to injustice, devastation, illness, and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggles for liberation, justice, and healing. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the ongoing impacts of climate chaos, which are devastating lives and our planet, and hopes for the climate talks that are opening today in Glasgow, Scotland. As I light the candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and our bodies, and perhaps lift up our prayers. As Ian plays our centering music, please take this time to sink more deeply into the presence of each other. In this time, we invite you into a practice of beholding each other. If you're online participating in this service and you'd like, please turn your cameras on and spend this time beholding each other's faces, each other's presence. If you're in the sanctuary, please take this time to behold the reality of each other, and please feel free to use the chat to let us know that your chalice is lit.
Good morning. Is that better? So, during the past 2 years, this book in RE circles has gotten a workout. This has become the religious educator's favorite book to read. And in fact, I've already done it twice on various occasions at the congregation that I served before. And it's a really wonderful story. It starts out with two little ones are in bed, and it's a thunderstorm, and it's scary, and they don't know what to think. And they go out to their mom, and they say, "Mom, we're afraid. Can you help us?" And the mom says, "Of course I can." And she comforts them because that's what moms do when their kids are afraid. And then the kids ask, "But what about when you're not here? Who will help us feel better?" And that's when the mom shares this secret with the kids. And she says, "Well, I'm going to share something with you that my mom shared with me when I was about your age." And the mom holds her hand up in the air and she says, "We are all connected by an invisible string. So whenever you are feeling afraid or lonely or needing to be loved, I will be with you because we will be connected by this string." And so the kids go through an entire list of scenarios that could happen. Well, what if we're mountain climbing? Will you be with us then? And the mom says, "Of course, we'll be connected by our invisible string." And the kids say, "Well, what about when we go away to college? Will you be connected to us then?" And the mom says, "Well, of course, because we're connected by the invisible string." And then the kids ask, "Well, Mom, someday you're going to die. Will you be with us then?" And the mom says, "Of course, because we're connected by an invisible string." And I think that we focus on the ways that are visible when we talk about this connection. We don't always talk about the death part about it because we don't always like to think about that. And so when I was thinking about what I was going to do for this particular RE moment, I remembered something that happened at the beginning of the year. And actually, it started out during the pandemic. I was in Maryland. One of my very closest friends was still back in Milwaukee. And because of the pandemic, a whole bunch of really stressful things happened to him. He lost his job. His car was repossessed. He lost his place to live, and he had to move into an apartment that was not really the apartment he wanted to live in, but it was all he could afford. And he was really struggling, and we talked to each other a lot. And so I thought I would brighten up his new space by making a really great blanket. And the weekend that I started it, I made some really good progress. And it was good for me because my mind was hyper-focusing on all of these different pandemic things, right? And then at the end of that weekend, on Sunday night at 11 o'clock, another mutual friend of ours called and let me know that it was all too much for him. And so one of the things we don't like to talk about is sometimes we have to remember people who left us by choice and not because it was a natural occurrence. And so I never did, as you can see, finish that blanket. But I'm going to start working on it again because I'm sure there's somebody out there who would really appreciate a rainbow-colored crocheted blanket, right? And so what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start winding this ball back up again. And what I would like you to do is I would like you to hold the piece of string that you were handed and close your eyes and think about someone who you miss, who you feel like was taken away from you too soon. Thanks, Chris.
On All Souls Day, or our Day of Remembrance, we remember all those we love who have died. We do this to honor them and to remember the special place that they have in our lives and the light that they carried that is still with us. This year, as we mark our Day of Remembrance in person and online, along with our loved ones who have died, we mourn more than 745,000, almost 750,000 Americans. Please breathe with me, holding tender sacred space as I say this. And as we feel what it means and has meant in our lives, almost 750,000 Americans, more than 500,000 more people than when I said this a year ago. And almost 5 million people around the world, almost 4 million more than a year ago, who have died of COVID-19. Some of them have been our loved ones. In the past year, climate chaos, COVID-19, wars, and instability have marked our lives irrevocably. The loss of so many dearly beloveds is staggering. It appalls us. The individual losses, the overall scale of the losses, and that we have seemingly become so inured to them. Even as we mourn all of the other beloveds we have lost this year and throughout our lives, and as we come together in body and spirit today to mourn so much that we haven't been able to mourn together. Through our lives, we have lost so many. Ones who have touched our lives and were far from perfect. Ones who some of us have loved and some of us had really complicated feelings about. And we carry their memories, their lives with us as we grow and change and live and love today. And so, as we move deeper into this time of remembering, of holding and honoring our own and each other's losses, Jim will lead us in our responsive reading. Jim?
Can you hear them? Can you hear the whispers of the ancestors? We remember. Their stories are in these walls, in our bones, in the air we breathe. Their stories are in the touch of a calloused hand, in the melody of the songs that we hum while washing dishes, in remembered faces. We hear the whispers of the ancestors, how their stories touch our lives and call us into becoming.
From Wednesday through Saturday of this past week, we placed our table of remembrance in the entryway for many of you to add photos to, or small mementos of loved ones who have died, whether people or animals. We have both already present here. We brought that table into the sanctuary for the service today. And so now, as Xing Hui plays, we invite those of you who are here in person to come forward. And if you haven't already, add your photos, drawings, or small mementos to it. Please be considerate of others as you come forward and leave space for people's COVID comfort. And as the music plays and as we honor our own and each other's losses, if you're online, please feel free to share what's on your heart and your mind in the chat, to lift up the names of people or other beings you love who have died, or if you prefer, simply settle further into this space we are holding for each other. Love here on this table and in the names that have been pouring in on the chat. And now I invite you into a spirit of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. May the Spirit of life help us open our hearts that we may comfort each other in the face of loss. Help us honor grief and not ask it to flee too quickly. As we mourn that these lives have ended, help us weave these lives and stories into the continued weaving of life. May the Spirit of love help us know in our hearts that what is temporal is also eternal, that we go ever on. Grant us grace to let these beloved lives now ended find new life in the ways we treat one another and live our own lives. Grant us courage to mourn, to believe in the goodness and beauty of life, even in the midst of grief. May the Spirit of grace help us share our hearts with ourselves and one another, that we may find peace, comfort, and easing in silence and solitude, in the company of each other, in the beauty of the sky, the water, the earth, and in each other's faces. Amen. Blessed be. I invite you into a minute of shared silence. Amen.
This reading is from To Invoke Love by Reverend Sean Parker Dennison. To invoke love is to ask for a hug from a thunderstorm, to spill tea in the lap of the infinite trickster, to make the biggest, most embarrassing mistake of your life in front of everyone who matters. To invoke love is to never know if it will come softly, with the nuzzle of a beloved dog, or pounce right on your chest with the strength of a lioness protecting her cub, her pride, her homeland. To invoke love is to take the risk of inviting chaos to visit the spaces you spent so much time making tidy, and watch as the breath of life scatters everything you have just folded and put away. To invoke love is to allow for the possibility that your words and actions might become so empowered you can no longer believe in apathy or the self-righteous idea that nothing can change. To invoke love is to give up self-deprecation, false humility, pride, and consider yourself worthy to be made whole, willing to encounter love that will never let us let each other go. To invoke love is to guard against assumptions, to take care of our words and practice forgiveness, not as an ethereal ideal, but right here in the messy midst of our imperfect lives. To invoke love is to approach each day and every person with wonder, anticipating love's arrival. Is this the moment? Is this love's grand entrance? Is this person the embodiment of love? Am I the one? To invoke love is to play the fool, the one more concerned with loving than with appearance or reputation, the one ready and willing to be vulnerable, abandoning anything that gets in love's way. To invoke love is to be ready to become love, here, now, in everything we do. Are you ready?
So, why do we remember the beings we love who have died? And why do we do this year after year? After all, it hurts when we remember people we love who have died. And we know, at least intellectually, that there has to be death for there to be life. We know that plants die or go dormant each year as they are now, and that makes space for new growth in the spring. We know that in our beautiful web of life, there is only so much matter and energy, and so in order for us to live, other things die. When I taught environmental education, I loved talking about and exploring food chains and the web of life with kids in forests and meadows. We talked about how things are born, eat other things, and how decomposers break down wastes and plants and animals that have died so that new plants can grow and new animals can be born. The process of decomposition is amazing in how it recycles matter and energy that all may continue on in new ways. And on a much larger scale, we know that stars have to die for new ones to be born. And not only new stars, but even humans who are partially made of stardust. There is so much wonder and mystery in this. But while we know intellectually that things have to die for there to be life, it hurts. It hurts so much when people or animals we love pass on. It hurts because when people, beings we love die, we miss their presence. We miss being able to touch them, to hear them, to see them, to smell them, simply being able to be with them. And we miss the relationship. When someone dies, our relationship with them is no longer able to change, at least not in the ways it did before. They don't get to change and grow with us, and our relationship doesn't get to change and grow in those ways. And that loss of relationship can really hurt. One definition of love is the desire to continue changing one's own perception of another. Sometimes our perception of, our understanding of another has to change to accept the end of something. When I taught kids about the web of life, I loved talking about decomposers. I love the decomposers because even though we often fear death, and even though we're sad when people and animals we love die, we know that all things are temporary. The decomposers let us have new life from death. They're the things that many of us don't like to look at, but that give us life, as they're doing right now, all around us. They let us make what's died a part of us, a part of what goes on. They're kind of like our memories of beings we love who have died. Even when people or animals leave us, we know that they're still with us, right? When you close your eyes and you don't try too hard, but you remember something about someone you love who has gone on, you know that they're still with us in some way. Sometimes it hurts, and sometimes there's just love. And that glow of love, That's the light we carry with us from every person. That light is what connects us to our ancestors, our community, and the whole web of life itself. Even though people leave us, and even though our relationship has to change because of that, they're still with us each and every day. Sometimes they're with us in our memories, in our own or a loved one's nose or hair or eyes. Sometimes we find their memory in a ring or a tattoo that we wear. Sometimes we find them in a legacy of strength, resistance, pride, chaos, change, wonder, vulnerability, or ever-expanding, ever-hoping love. We honor them, we honor ourselves, and we honor the sacred when we remember, when we hold or feel the light of those who've left us, and when we share that light by living the lessons and the good gifts that their lives have showed us. And so we remember each year, because we especially honor the sacred web of life and everyone who loved, when we remember and we share our memories and the light of those we love who are gone. May we continue telling stories, reaching out to those around us, supporting each other with loving kindness, creating a better world and invoking love, that we ourselves may become love. We are given glimpses of life's deepest mysteries in the lives of those that we love and in the communities that support us. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, our resources, is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is the Emma Goldman Clinic. Founded in 1973, Emma's is a safe and caring clinic for adults and teens to receive client-centered medical care. Clinic staff and volunteers welcome individuals with diverse gender and sexual expression and offer total support of pregnancy choices, flu shots, STI and UTI screening, and option counseling also available during walk-in hours. On the screen, you will see instructions for how to give online, or you may take this time to write a check and address an envelope to UUS to be put in the mail. If you're attending this service here in the sanctuary, you can give online, and there's a basket in the atrium. The usher can help you find it after the service. You may assist our community partner, contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses, or contribute towards your pledge to our society. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive this offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
This music today is so beautiful and so evocative. Thank you. Together we help each other carry so much, create change, create light, and create life. And so as we move towards the end of the day, to the end of the worship service today, changing perspective a little bit, changing the direction, and still continuing on in gratitude. As many of you know, Jeff Wahlberg is going to be stepping down as UUS's publicity and AV coordinator at the end of this week. In addition to his previous work helping us share news about what's happening at UUS, in the past 6 months, Jeff has done extraordinary work helping UUS create an AV system. That camera over there, those folks here, all of this that's happening that lets us create multi-platform services so that some of you can be here right now and some of you can be at home. This was particularly challenging because we've been creating almost completely new ways of running worship services and bringing people together. We often haven't known what we needed to create or what we didn't know. It's all been creating it as we go along. And Jeff has helped us learn and create as we've muddled through together. So while Jeff is leaving his position as AV coordinator and publicity coordinator, we are so grateful for everything that he has done to help us be in this reality that we are in today. Jeff isn't here today, but if you're online, I invite you to post your appreciation and gratitude to Jeff in the chat so that we can share them with him later. If you're here at UUS, in the fellowship hall, there are little pieces of colored paper and markers and colored pencils, and I invite you to share your gratitudes and appreciations with Jeff on those so that we can collect them and share them with him later. And please, when you see Jeff around UUS or online, let him know how much you appreciate all that he has made possible. Thank you. And now, Jim, back to you.
Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express inner independence is a part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared here today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into justice and love. Immediately after the service, we will have a time for all to join in conversation and community. Whether you're online or in the sanctuary, after the hostess will explain the process at that location. And now to close our service today, Virginia Winshay will lead us in singing 1001 in the teal hymnal, Breaths. If you're at UUS, please sing softly into your masks, hum, or move your hands and body with the music. If you're at home, please feel free to sing as loudly as you'd like. Please rise.
The day
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
As you go into the world this week, may you be mindful of the strings that connect us all. May you go invoking love. And may you go in peace, love, and justice, always and ever living love more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen, and blessed, blessed be.